On March 6th of 2011, Generation 5 of Pokémon was released, with the games Pokémon Black and Pokémon White. It was set in the new Unova region and it was for the Nintendo DS. I personally loved all the new Pokémon they added with these games, and the story wasn't bad either. And let's face it, Team Plasma is one of the best evil teams out there. But 1 year later, Pokémon did something that was totally unheard of. They made sequels to the Unova games called Pokémon Black and White V2. They weren't quite like Pokémon Emerald or Crystal. They were like proper sequels. These games kept Reshiram and Zekrom, but they brought in a third legendary dragon called Kyurem, and it could be fused with either Reshiram or Zekrom with the DNA splicers. But now, it's 2025, and the Switch 2 is coming out. I think it's time for something new. Could it be time for Pokémon Black and White 3? Hey guys, I'm Choco Cheerio, and that is the subject for today's video. Pokémon Black and White V3 are the games everybody's been waiting for years and years. It doesn't have to be Black and White 3 though. It could be anything concerning Unova. We just need some Unova representation. It could be a Unova Legends game. That would be really cool. But I think it's time we move past the intro and actually get into the video. What do you think? You know, I think it's the Unova games and the Johto games that have gone the longest time without any revamp of any sort. Because after Pokémon Black and White 2 came out, then came Pokémon X and Y for Kalos, and then Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for Hoenn, Pokémon Sun and Moon for Alola, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee for Kanto, Sword and Shield for Galar, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for Sinnoh. Arceus is revisiting Sinnoh again, and Scarlet and Violet are Paldea. All those games I just mentioned are for 3DS and above, but the Black and White and Gold and Silver games are still stuck in the DS era. One big reason why they might skip Unova and Johto entirely is because I think in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, it all took place the first one took place in Johto and the second one in Unova, I think. They might count those as Johto and Unova games and just move on to Kalos with Pokemon ZA and just skip Unova and Johto entirely, which I really hope they don't do. With the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, Generation 5 of Pokémon will be 4 consoles away. The consoles being the Switch 2, the Switch 1, the 3DS, and the DS. And the Pokémon Black and White games had a lot of content. They had a lot of story, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of characters, which gives them lots of things to use if they were to make a Pokémon Black and White 3. Because with the size of their Pokédex and the amount of characters they already have, they wouldn't even have to add much. And I have the perfect idea of how the story should go. Apparently, Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom were all one Pokemon at one point, until Reshiram and Zekrom split into 2 Pokemon and left Kyurem as a shell. But with the DNA splicers in Pokemon Black and White V2, you could fuse either Reshiram or Zekrom to Kyurem. But what did the Pokemon actually look like at first, before it was split? When Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem were all one Pokemon. That's probably what Pokemon Black and White V3 would be based on. And since that Pokemon's gonna come up a lot when I'm telling you how the story's gonna go, I decided to name him Reshiram for now. Like Reshiram and Zekrom, Reshiram, get it? And the game will probably be open world, like Pokemon Sword and Shield style. Kind of Scarlet and Violet style, in a way. And when you pick your protagonist, you'll probably have 4 options instead of just 2. Because you'll have the player characters from Pokemon Black and White and from Black and White V2. You'll still have Tepig, Snivy, and Oshawott to choose from for your starters, but they'll probably all be mega evolvable. I know it sounds weird, but just bear with me for a second. And the game, like Scarlet and Violet, is going to have 3 separate plot lines. The first one will be you completing the gym challenge and beating the champion. And as a reward for winning, you get either Zekrom or Reshiram, depending on which game you picked. And then there's a second story, with Ghetsis and Team Plasma trying to capture Kyurem. This story would kind of be like the Team Star one from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But as a reward, you would get Kyurem, but you wouldn't be able to fuse the 2 Pokemon together yet. And the last storyline would be N and Colress trying to capture the last legendary Pokemon, the one opposite of the one you picked. And as a result, for completing all those missions with Colress and N, you would end up getting Mega Stones. Because in Pokemon Black and White V2, it kinda sounded like Colress was about to find out about Mega Evolution before Professor Sycamore. And as a reward for helping N capture either Zekrom or Reshiram, he would give you the DNA Splicers, the last thing you needed to fuse Kyurem with whatever legendary Pokemon you caught. And the last story, after you beat all 3 that you could complete in any order, would be finally tracking down and beating Team Plasma once and for all. But at the very end of the game, in the last battle, Ghetsis somehow gets control of Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem, and fuses them with some sort of Mega Evolution power, all into the original dragon that they all once were. You won't be able to catch Reshiram yet though. After you beat the game, you'll get Ghetsis' Mega Evolution thing that he uses to fuse Zekrom and Reshiram and Kyurem all together. But to fuse them all together, you'll need the other legendary Pokemon to be traded over from another game. It would be kinda like Ultra Necrozma from Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, except you need all 3 Pokemon. Anyways, that's my theory. That is most likely how the story is going to go. If you don't think that's how the story is going to go, or I got any of my facts wrong, or if I got them all right and you really liked the video, make sure to comment it down below. And if you just so happen to like it, hit that like button, and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in my next video. So until then, bye bye.